This is Triple H 100.1 FM. I'm Simon, and with me is Neil and Street Beat, and we have Dr. Raymond Raper, Senior Clinician and Departmental Head of the Intensive Care Unit at the Royal North Shore Hospital, and he is talking about the Royal North Shore land divestment. Dr. Raper, can you just tell us a bit about what's going on with the petition that was handed in recently to government?
Thank you, Simon, and thank you again for having me here so that we can get this message out to the public, because it's the public that's going to be affected by this.
Absolutely.
And it's a public resource. So at the last count that I'd heard, and I'm a little bit behind because I've been in and out of the city this week, the last count was over 13,000 signatures. So 13,000 people have. This is physical signatures. This is not the electronic version of it.
This is the wet ink signatures.
This is the wet ink signatures. Yeah. So more than 13,000, and the petition has been presented to Parliament, or is to be presented to Parliament. For the Greens, thank heavens, we couldn't get too much help from the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
The Greens, God bless them, have taken this forward for us, and they're arguing on our behalf and on behalf of the hospital, on behalf of the public.
Yep.
And I understand that the process is that with a petition of that size, that presenting that to Parliament requires there to be some debate in Parliament about the issues involved. I guess I don't know how much I expect to gain out of the process, but we are hoping that if we can keep putting pressure on and we can keep trying to bring the issues to the attention of all of the politicians and the issues to the attention of the public, that what we see as sanity will prevail and the land won't be divested. Then, of course, we face another problem of how we're going to fund the rebuilding of Rotary Lodge, and that's another issue. And we don't really have any good solutions to that at the moment, but it isn't a huge amount of money, but it is a hugely important resource, as we've been discussing.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Neil, if you...
we were talking before, the problem that you seem to have, though, is you've got no political friends. The Labor Party is a rump, it's a ghost in New South Wales. The Liberal Party fairly well controls all the North Shore electorates. So where do you go from here? How do you garner that political support?
Well, I think you're right that North Shore Hospital sits in a very nice location, and I always say we're very lucky because I work in the area where people really want to live. And so a lot of the doctors who work at North Shore Hospital live in the immediate vicinity, and that's a big advantage to the hospital. The disadvantage, of course, is that it does tend to be a Liberal region, and nearly all of the local members are from the Liberal Party. So we're not a swinging electorate, and we don't get much mileage out of that aspect of things. However, we serve the people of New South Wales, and a lot of the people of New South Wales come from marginal electorates, and a lot of the people who are going to benefit from particularly the Rotary Lodge initiative don't come from electorates that are blue ribbon Liberals. And so we're hoping that they'll help us bring some pressure to bear on the government to rethink the processes. And I have to say that 3 years ago we were in the middle of a blue ribbon Liberal seat then, blue ribbon Liberal region of the state then, and yet the March on Parliament did have an impact, and we did extract an undertaking to cease the divestment of the land. That divestment was much bigger and would have been much more destructive, and we're very pleased that was stopped, and we're grateful to the Liberal government for carrying that through. We're just calling on them now to continue the process going forward, and we think it's really important for the future of the campus.
Absolutely. And if people want to find out more about what's going on, there's social media, it's out there now, and there's websites. Dr. Raper, can you just let us know
we have a Facebook page, the Help Save Rural North Shore, RNSH Facebook page, and we've also got a website, save.rnsh.org website. We try to keep those up to date. We're mostly clinicians of various flavours and colours, and we've got other jobs to do, and we're running around doing our best to sort of do our normal work as well, but we're trying to keep those websites and the Facebook page up to date as best we can with current information and with opportunities for the public to help us and to express support for us in this initiative.
Yeah, because I've had a look at the Facebook. It's great, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. It's really good.
Good.
And the website as well. And I think we put the Facebook page up on our Street Beat site.
Yes, we do. If people are, our listeners would of course spend most of their time on our Facebook page. And we have put the link up there as well. Yeah. And we'll add a link to the website as well after the show.
Good on you. Thank you very much.
No worries. This is Triple H 100.1 FM. I'm Simon. With me is Neil and also Dr. Raymond Raper, who is the Senior Clinician and Departmental Head of Intensive Care at Royal North Shore Hospital. And Dr. Raper, would you like to just give us a roundup of what we've been talking about this afternoon?
It'd be a pleasure, Simon. And again, thank you for having me. I guess the take-home point for me is that we're calling on the government and the local health district administration to cease any plans to divest land on the campus at Royal North Shore Hospital. And we're asking them to do this for a couple of reasons. The first is we think this is the only way we can preserve the flexibility of the campus to enable the future developments. And we also ask them to do this because we think that the preservation of free land is going to be important for the inevitable rebuild of the campus. Now, if I can just take that point a little bit further, because the response when we've raised that is there is enough potential on site to rebuild and that they can allocate this or they can allocate that. To which I would respond that when we had the full campus and we were rebuilding this time, we had to knock down Rotary Lodge, we had to knock down the hydrotherapy pool, which is also not to be rebuilt, not slated to be rebuilt on site. Yeah. And we had to knock down a lot of staff facilities, accommodation and other things. And if we had to knock all those things down to accommodate the current rebuild on a bigger campus site, how can we realistically believe that we're going to be able to rebuild on the campus if the campus is reduced in its size? So it doesn't make sense to me that we're going to be able to rebuild even if we sell off this land. I also make the point that the land that they want to divest is some of the most valuable health department real estate in the whole of Australia, certainly in Sydney, and to sell it off for a commercial development just seems to be incredibly silly. And to sell it off for an amount of money that can really only support the recurrent budget of the hospital for a couple of months puts it into perspective about what the gains and the losses are likely to be. The other point I want to strongly bring to the attention of your listeners is the issue about patient or family and care accommodation. This is something near to my heart. We lost our Rotary Lodge and we need to have that rebuilt on site. The families or the patients and their families in this state need it, and I believe it's their right. We can't deal with the discrepancy in healthcare standards from the country to the city if we don't have this sort of a facility available on all of our major hospital campuses, and North Shore is really important in that because of our particular clientele, which includes burns and spinal injuries, which come from all over the state.
That's very eloquently put, and I'd like to say thank you very much for coming in, and I think you've informed us all.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And if people want to find out more, off to Facebook, Help Save Royal North Shore, RNSH, that's the Facebook page, or the website is save.rnsh.org.